Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming. I'm your moderator today. I'm Suvendrini Kakuchi. And Dr. Wang, welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. You must know his history, but just briefly, he was a former student leader of the Tiananmen democracy movement, and is currently the visiting associate professor, National Tsing Hua University, Taiwan. Dr. Wang has spent 6 years at Harvard University for his PhD in history, and currently he teaches modern history of China. He's also an author, written plenty of books, and he will talk to us today of the future of China, a big topic. Thank you very much. We've just got 1 hour, so I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Wang. Thank you very much.
Are you this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for my moderator, and thanks everybody for coming. Everybody know tomorrow is the 27th anniversary of Tiananmen massacre. I always think 1989 student movement is not only happened in the past. That issue is also happened in nowadays. What happened in 1989 have a very deep connection with the situation of China today. So I'm going to give a brief report about my opinion about the future of China, and maybe if somebody interested, I can talk a little about the relationship between Taiwan and mainland China. Let me start. Well, I'm very interested in Xi Jinping, this person. I think same as many others. My question is, I raise a question here, is Xi Jinping going to lead China toward another version of Mao's regime, another cultural revolution? Well, it looks like Xi Jinping himself has these ambitions, I think. But can he really achieve this goal? That's a question. I think it depends on 2 key factors. One is, can he keep China's economic growth? That's very crucial for him. Second question is, will younger generation of China, those young peoples, really will follow him? And that's another important question. For these 2 questions, I have my answers. I think a misconception that needed to be cleared up here concerns the term economics. We call economics Li Keqiang's economics, which was appeared in the media for a while following the Chinese Communist Party 18th National Congress in November 2012. Economics refers to Chinese Premier Li Keqiang economics ideas, and it refers to non-stimulus and structure reforms. That's Li Keqiang's idea. However, these ideas soon disappeared because the CCP's traditional leadership model of a 2-horse carriage, with the General Secretary looking after politics, where the Premier of the State Council take care of the economy, has been ended by Chinese President and the CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping himself. So although Li Keqiang is the one who carry out China's economic policy decisions and explain them to the public, but it is Xi Jinping himself is making the decisions behind the scenes. That means there is really no longer such a thing like economics, only Xi economics. So let's talk about Xi economics. But even Xi economics has clearly reached the end of the life, I think. Why? Because the main feature of China's economic growth is that it is investment-led, a tide of land development driven by infrastructure constructions, along with local and regional government official hunger following reforms to the tax system, has driven investment in real estate and quickly become key economic drivers on a par with infrastructure constructions. Although investment-led economic growth has achieved a great result, as everybody see, it also brought no end of a problem of its weak. In the medium to long term, midterm to long term, the main problem, I think the main problem is falling efficiency of investment, inefficiency in infrastructure constructions, and an increase in banks' non-performing loans. So in this respect, the biggest target for criticism has been the 4 trillion renminbi facial expansions plan implemented in response to the global financial crisis by the Wen Jiabao, the former premier minister. Although this measure allowed China's economy to recover at the end of 2009, it also gave rise to new problems, including huge debts, an overheated real estate market, and increased financial risks for local governments. Since Xi Jinping took office, he has been touting the ideas of so-called new normal, 新常态, we call it new normal for China's economic development. The basic idea is to get away from the past model that focus solely on raising GDP and stimulating economic growth, and to gradually get the nation's economic growth rate to stabilize at a relatively low pace of about 7%. It emphasized adjusting China's economic structure and strengthening the role of market mechanisms. These are the basic proposals of Xi Jinping's economic policies, which are markedly different from the previous model of using facial expansion to promote economic growth. This new normal may sound good, but has the Chinese government really put it into practice? That's the question. According to, I give some data, according to the official media report, China's PPI, Producer Price Index, PPI, has fallen almost 2 years, keep on falling. And this trend has come to be seen as the greatest potential risk that could lead to deflation. Actually, this is an old problem of China, but we still keep this problem. China's experience of fighting deflation is basically that it has get out of the deflationary by applying relaxed monetary and fiscal policies. So does Xi offer, or can he offer us a new way out? I don't think so. I think the answer is no. Why? Because first, infrastructure investment is still being used as the driving force for economic growth. At the end of 2014, the State Council approved infrastructure project in 7 major categories, requiring a total investment of 10 trillion yuan, 10 trillion renminbi, 7 trillion of which is to be invested in 2015. Second, beginning in November 2014, the People's Bank of China has lowered the interest rate 3 times in a row and cut bank's reserve requirement ratio twice in order to stimulate growth in investment. The third and the most recent measure has been to artificially push up stock market, use the measure by government, which is to intentionally creating a stock market bubble. These 3 arrows of Xi, not 3 arrows of Premier here, 3 arrows of Xi's economic policies are all oriented toward fiscal stimulus. So-called new normal or Xi economics is just walking the same old path in a new pair of shoes, I think. If this trend continues, it will be impossible to resolve the Chinese economy's long-standing contradictions. If this kind of economic stimulus policy could overcome the downward pressures on China's economy, then all well and good. However, if Wen Jiabao's 4 trillion yuan could not solve the problem, can Xi's 7 trillion yuan fix it? I think the answer is also no. This is the economic problem. I think Xi's government faces another problem, is the young generation's willingness to follow him or not, to start another cultural revolution. So how about the young generation? Well, I'm now teaching in 2 elite universities of Taiwan. At the same time, that make me lose my English, but give me a chance to know a lot of younger people from mainland China. As you know, more and more of mainland younger students come to Taiwan to study. So I organize a Democratic Salon and a China Salon, consist of those younger people. So I know the idea, I know what they're thinking about. From my experience of observing them, I actually put a lot of hope on a new generation of China. Here I give you an example. In 2013, a Taiwanese singer, I don't know if anybody know, her name is Zhang Xuan, is a popular singer, displayed a Republic of China flag on stage and was shouted at by a student from China. So now politics here, now politics on stage. It's controversial. The incident has kindled a blaze of reactions from internet users in Hong Kong and Taiwan, with many accusing young people in China of being brainwashed and nationalist, among other things. However, a comment about the incident from a student in China tells a different story. Those who think that young people in China are one big crowd of brainwashed, angry youth might like to read this message. They might discover that they have got the wrong idea. The student's message is here because he read a message to me from Facebook. He said, "Freedom is precious and very fragile. I don't think the quest for freedom will ever end. If you agree with me and that I just said, please click on like and share it to let the whole world know that young people in China are definitely not all the kind who would yell no politics today at the singer Chang. They are not all the kind of people who have been made into mental slaves by political oppression and who do not care about politics or do not dare to talk about it, even when they are abroad. There are other peoples in the country who want to stand up and do something, even if they know it's dangerous, and who keep up their moral and even physical courage and set out to achieve their ideas. Here's the message I got after that incident. So I think this is a very typical response. I have a lot of students from mainland China have the same idea, and they talk to me, and so I know they have this idea. So I think in China's online world, political control created an environment in which it's hard of the voices of people who do not trust the Chinese government to get much attention. So we have two worlds, it's online world and the real world. However, those who are familiar with the way the internet works in China would see that if the internet were not so tightly monitored and controlled, and if people were not so worried about speaking their mind, it's hard to see which side would have the loudest voice, the nationalist or the likes of the student who wrote the message. Well, some people get carried away with nationalistic fever. Most members of Chinese society say nothing. They just keep silence. I think they are important force, silence force. But their silence does not mean that they have no opinion. They just keep their opinion in their mind. These days, it's clear that some people in the government and society at large have realized that overheated nationalistic sentiments may turn into their opposite and could even cause trouble for the authorities. So as a result, two contradictory trends can be seen in what the Chinese government says and does. On one hand, the Chinese media keep using the same old methods to whip up nationalistic feelings. But on the other hand, the authorities can be seen doing everything they can do to cool down popular nationalism when it looks like as though it might get out of control. This contradiction shows that predicament in which the Chinese government often found itself. It comes under pressure from its supporters as well as those who have less faith in it. And a regime that exists without an electoral basis will eventually found that even its supporters cannot necessarily be relied on. In an ever more diverse society, a government that thinks it can establish and consolidate the legitimacy by manipulating nationalism is only making troubles for itself. And I do think this needs to be carefully considered when reading what internet users, angry youngsters, have to say about Xi Jinping, Tibet, and other issues. So now at the end of my speech, I want to tell you another story from a book. I don't know if anybody read a book by the American writers Peter Hessler. Peter Hessler published a book called Country Driving, A Journey from Farm to Factory. It's a very good, excellent book. Reveals many astonishing things about grassroots Chinese society, based on the author's experience of driving around a large part of China. Here's one story in his book, a very interesting story, and you can get some conclusion from this story. One day, Hitler himself is stopped when he drives around. He's stopped and questioned by a group of highway traffic police cops. The author described the scenes. I just quoted the authors. "You must be a spy," the cop said. And the other cops laughing. "He's a spy. He's driving around. He speaks Chinese, so he must be a spy, a spy, a spy." They're laughing. So shaking with laughter, the cop returned both my license. It took me a while to find my voice. He's so scared, so lost his voice. Hitler said, "It's okay, I continue." The cop said, "Of course, just driving away." When Hitler looking through the mirror, he found those cops on the side of the road. They punched each other and laughed, "A spy, a spy." Here's the story. This little incident, which leaves the readers not sure whether to laugh or cry, I think. But it reflects a number of profound truths of China or the future of China. The key point is that whereas Hitler was so worried when he hears the policy say he was a spy, that he lost his voice for a while, the outcome was that the police officers did not follow up on the assessment of the situation by taking any action whatsoever, but simply just let him go, waving him on his way. First saying he was a spy and then letting him go while laughing heartily is even more absurd signals that the approaching collapse of a totalitarian regime, I think. I give you a reason here. The first reason for saying so is that when the logic of a totalitarian system reaches a certain degree of absurdity, the result will be that even the people responsible for operating the system come to see the whole thing as a joke. That's the truth of China. To put it a simple way, another way, under such a system, when the theories that those in charge used to poison other people's mind are seen alongside the reality, then sooner or later, it will reach a situation where the system's enforcement no longer believe in it themselves. That's very dangerous for Communist Party. Consider some of the terms still used in China today, like socialism, like the Communist Party is there to serve the people, prospering together, and blah, blah, so on. How many people still believe in such noble-sounding slogans? Nobody, I think. History tells us that when any system reaches the point where even those who run the system no longer believe in its underlying theories, it will be hard to keep it going for much longer. That's what I see the future of China. The second reason is this. On the face of it, the Chinese Communist Party has a vast and tightly controlled system for maintaining stability. We call it Whither, maintain the stability. Social controls seem to reach everywhere. Frequent driver's license checks by highway police, just like story by Hitler, are just one link in the chain. You would think that such a system could not fall apart. But you then have to ask why all totalitarian systems in history have crumbled and fallen one after another, if they have so capability of control. The reason is quite simple. No matter how strict a system may be, it still needs individuals to keep it going, still need people. When those individuals no longer strictly enforce the system, then the system is going to crash or break down. So if the traffic police in Hitler's book really thought they were up against an enemy, an agent or spy, they should have interrogated him. But as it turned out, they thought nothing of it. This is how the Chinese system is cracking. I think this system is cracking by this reason. The Communist Party system for maintaining stability is indeed vast, yet is not capable of controlling every one of those whose job is to keep it going. It may take just one incident involving one individual for the rampant of the system to crumble and collapse. So among the huge force of people charged with maintaining stability in China, who can guarantee that none of them will cause such an incident? This is the question I would like to leave to you to think about it. This is my idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The floor is open for questions. Please come up to the microphone and identify yourself.
And please slow down your English. My English is bad.
So, working press, yes, Ken.
Hello, I'm Ken Moritsugu with the Associated Press. I wanted to ask you, at the beginning, I think I heard you say that the events of Tiananmen continue to have importance, deep importance for China today. I wonder if you could elaborate a little more on what you mean by that.
Okay, I want to show you a picture. I don't know, can I?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Do you have Wi-Fi here? Let me, just give me a second. A very interesting picture. Mm-hmm. But it's very small. This picture is a notice in Beijing. Put it on the wall everywhere in Beijing yesterday. It says that according to the order from upper level, June 4th is coming, so we will have volunteers from June 1st to June 6th to control the society, to prevent anything happened. This is a notice put everywhere in Beijing. That's why I think June 4th is still nowadays incident. This is the reason. Mm-hmm. You can see this. It's the government still remember this, and the government mentioned June 4th and reminded June 4th to the people every year. So some people say the Chinese people already forget June 4th. I don't believe it. We still have a government remind us every year.
Anybody else? Yes, please.
My name is Ma Jie from Bloomberg News. You singled out young generation in your presentation. Nowadays, we are seeing the young people in Hong Kong, they are increasingly rejecting the commemoration of the June 4th massacre. And they are saying promoting democracy in China is no longer our goal. I wonder, what is your feeling? What is your thoughts on this trend?
Yeah, I of course feel very sorry for this. I totally understand and respect for young generation of Hong Kong. They want to catch down from the past, because I think it should be the Beijing government to take this responsibility, because they treat Hong Kong very bad, and they push the young generation to the direction of radical. Even though I don't agree with this point, but I understand. But I don't think it's a good idea for them to take this path, because if there's no democracy in China, I cannot see the future of Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a lot of connection with China. You cannot just pretend as a blind to ignore this reality that Beijing can do anything to influence Hong Kong, and it's actually happening. So I don't think this is a good idea, but I understand and respect.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Joël Legendre from the French Radio and Television. You mentioned Xi Jinping, and you said he has, of course, the hands on the affairs. I remember there were photos of him recently where instead of wearing civilian clothes like ties and shirts and jackets, suits, he liked to wear military clothes or very orthodox clothes. So would you tell us a bit more about his personality, what is the reality of his power today on China affairs, and are you optimistic or pessimistic about it?
Okay, thank you. It's a very good question. I'm also very interested in Xi Jinping's personality. As Xi Jinping, he belonged to a generation we call the Zhiqing generation, so-called young intellectual generation, who was the right guard in Cultural Revolution and then driving by the Mao to the countryside. This we call the Zhiqing generation, the intellectual young generation, and Xi Jinping is one of them. I think this generation has very special personality in general. One of them is they're very realistic. So I don't think in Xi Jinping's mind he has special ideology. So he might change anytime. Now he's very leftist, but maybe next day he will turn to right. Nobody knows. This is a so-called Zhiqing generation's characteristic. So secondly, I think I don't think Xi Jinping is a reformist. Whatever he said, his father Xi Zhongxun is a real reformist. That put a lot of people hope on Xi Jinping. I think it's ridiculous because Xi Jinping and his colleagues has a common father. In spirit, the spiritual father is Mao Zedong. When Xi Jinping grew up, that time is every idea is come from Mao Zedong. So it's a very big influence for the Xi Jinping. So I think Xi will take some measure. Take some lesson from Mao Zedong's regime. That's why I have my speech here. He wants to start not the real Cultural Revolution, but another form of Cultural Revolution to try to make the CCP stronger, try to make CCP cleaner, not so many corruption as Xi Jinping. But he still use Mao's force. I mean, he will not give any political reform. He just use the force to crack down anyone who against him, including those corruption officials. So he's another Mao. I don't know. I don't think he can be another Mao, but he has this ambition to be the second Mao, I think.
Yes, please.
I'm from Singapore. My question to you is quite sentimental. I want to know that since you have been away from your hometown for so many years, do you still miss it? And do you find pressure away from China? And please tell us how's your relatives or your moms, your fathers in China feel about it? Thank you.
Oh, thank you for this warm question. I, of course, miss my hometown, but it's a globalization era. But I think it's okay if I cannot go back to China. And it's not up to me. I cannot go back to China. It's responsible should take by the government. But if I have chance, I definitely will go back to China. I already ready for it. For my family, they can come to Taiwan to visit me. When I study in United States, they can also visit me. They can also fly to United States, so it's no problem for our family to get reunion. There's only one thing the Chinese government concern is me. If Wang Dan cannot go back to China, everything is fine. Sometimes they're tolerant, but they have a precondition that I will not go back to China. So in no time, we have telephone connection. Some we still use WeChat or something, and sometimes they come to Taiwan. That's it.
Yes, go.
My name is Hiro Kuchita, independent, write for Japanese daily evening paper Yukan Fuji. I think Chinese leaders are capitalists, they're money mongers. But Chinese state is a police state, and still there are a lot of discrimination by Han Chinese and also the massacre type of things going on. The other day, Rabia Kadil, the president of Uyghur Congress, had a conference here, and she really said that there are a lot of Rabia Kadil, the Uyghur, World Uyghur.
Oh, okay.
She said a lot of the Uyghur people are killed, or So how can you change a kind of police state, rule by the Communist Party?
Okay, thank you, but I'm really very, very sorry that I have very few knowledge about this issue, about the Uyghur issues. I really cannot answer this question. Sorry about it.
Okay, yes.
Siegfried Knittel, writing for Austrian newspaper, the Standard. How do you see the future of the Taiwan and China relations? Yeah, what will happen?
Thank you. Okay, I have a speech prepared for answer your question. Right. Well, I think if there will be the peaceful relationship between two sides, I have two suggestions about DPP, President Tsai Ing-wen's China policy. I think if DPP can take these suggestions, is hopeful to make a peaceful between two sides. First, it's very important to different between the concept of China and the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people. Many Taiwanese, they cannot make this difference. The anti-China, the anti-Chinese people, and the Chinese Communist Party, I don't think this is a good idea. You have to different these three different concepts. Second, people need to make a difference between the Chinese state and the society. Many Taiwanese people, they have some information, but all about the government. They don't know what happened in the society level. So they don't think there's hope for democracy. So that's why they want to keep away from mainland China. But I think in the society level, a lot of things are happening in China. So Taiwan people and the DPP or President Tsai Ing-wen, I suggest them should get more knowledge, more information about what happened in society, not the government. I understand that they spend a lot of effort to deal with the government and the CCP, but I hope they can spend more energy to contact the civil society of China. I think that's a good way for them.
Yes.
My name is Kondo from Weekly Gendai. And last month in Beijing, Mr. Lei Yang was killed. It's a very miserable accident, I think. And how do you see that accident and human rights in Beijing now? Thank you.
Well, it's very simple. Thank you for the question. After Xi Jinping take power, of course, there's a huge backward of the human rights situation. And another important thing is, I think Xi Jinping, there's one thing that Xi Jinping is quite different from Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao. During Jiang and Hu take the power, they at least give some space for the society. I think Xi Jinping want to destroy the society. But that's the characteristic of Mao's era. In the Cultural Revolution and under the Mao's regime, there's no society. It's only party, government, and the people. I think Xi Jinping wants back to that era. This is quite different from Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao, and very, very dangerous. That's why I think it is possible to have another cultural revolution if there's no society protect individuals.
Yes.
Hello, I'm from Hong Kong Cable TV. Actually, nowadays the younger generation in Hong Kong are fighting very hard for the real democracy in Hong Kong, like the fishbowl movement, like the umbrella movement. But this year, their attitude towards June 4th has been cooled down a lot. Is there anything you want to tell the younger generation in Hong Kong, and what's your thought towards the Hong Kong's future?
Okay, thank you. If I have a chance to talk to them, maybe I will let them know that to remember June 4th is not a simple thing to remember something. It's a gesture to show your political position. It's a fight. I mean, this memory, like a virgin, like what happened in Weiyuan every year to remember June 4th, is a gesture to fight against the view of Communist Party. It's a fight. If young generation, radical young generation of Hong Kong really want to fight CCP, they should not cut down with June 4th. They should not cut down the connection with June 4th, because June 4th is another fight against the Communist Party. Yeah, that's the message I want. Maybe you can transfer to them.
It's okay. Yes.
Thank you for your lecture. I'm a journalist of Japan's public TV. Compared with the Hu Jintao regime, how do you evaluate the situation of Chinese democracy or Chinese freedom of speech, and what do you expect for Japanese people to change this situation?
Okay, well, in 2012, just when we got the news that Xi Jinping will take power, when he didn't actually take the power, I wrote an article that the dark age is coming and the dark age is going to be end. That's the title of my article. That's also my point. Nowadays, we see when Xi Jinping take power, it's really a dark age for China. He uprised all the freedom and the human right. But I think it's not good for the CCP, actually. If you give society such a strong pressure, you will get something that's bound up, will hurt yourself. You will make Chinese people and the civil society more angry. If CCP has leaders like Wen Jiabao, Wen Jiabao's character, he's just very calm down. Sometimes he just say, "Oh, we need democracy." If the CCP's leader like Xi Jinping, maybe Chinese people still have hope for the CCP. If CCP have a leader like Xi Jinping, I think more and more Chinese people will lost their hope for the CCP. So it's very dangerous for them. I think Xi Jinping is kind of stupid. Sorry to say that.
Yes. Okay, John. Yes. Yeah, I think it's okay.
You start. Lejean, RTL, the French TV again. Allow me to go back 30 years ago, 86. I was in Peking.
Oh.
Yeah, I live near Haidian. At that time, many students come where I lived, in the residence I lived, to complain about the way they were badly treated. Chinese students and also many African and Arabic students. At that time, in 86, in April and May, you were 19 or 17, I think.
20.
No, in 86.
In 1986,
you were 17.
1986.
3 years ago. At that time, there were many students demonstrating already.
Oh, yeah.
I saw African and Chinese and Arabic students demonstrating from Haidian to Chang'an. I would like to ask you, don't you think that during Deng Xiaoping, I haven't met him, but I met Hu Yaobang, I met Hu Qili, Li Peng, and Zhao Ziyang, and I talked to Zhao Ziyang, and I asked him one question: what about democracy? He said to me, "We are 1 billion, my friend, my young friend," he told me. And I was wondering, have you at some level been influenced by the way the foreign students and the young Chinese students were acting to try to demonstrate their anger because of that time of Deng Xiaoping, rather free action, freedom in some way, which favored business, economy, trips, traveling between Peking or Shanghai and Hong Kong? Do you think that there was a good time which allowed you to demonstrate more than if it was maybe today or something like this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is a very deep question. But when I have reflection for what happened in 1999, but I still think it's a good time. But it's not the question about it's a good time or not. We were very young. I was 20 that age and have no experience about politics, so I have no idea about the strategy. But I think the 1989 student movement is a result of what CCP did. You know, CCP decided to start a political reform in 1986. After 1986, they put a lot of effort on the political reform. So there was an atmosphere in the society that the CCP will change, and there's a lot of freedom. That gave us courage and gave us hope for the CCP's willingness to do political reform. And that's why we go to street. Because we think the government will eventually agree with what we're doing. But of course, then we know we were wrong. But at that time, we don't know. We think the government is very open-minded. They're very good government. Even Deng Xiaoping himself. But suddenly he takes the gun and shoot at us. Who can imagine this scenario? So I don't think we should take this responsibility to take this point. No, that's also the right. That was the right point. But the government, if government did not crack down the movement, you can say another face of China is quite different from nowadays China. That's my point.
Yes, Rosa.
Very short question, but very hard. I want to know that what's your opinion about one China policy?
Well, I was born in 1969, so I didn't get this problem. I have sisters, so I have no idea about this question. But I forgot to answer one question. What can Japanese people do? So I want to answer this. Yeah, but it's not only Japan and other Asian countries also has responsibility to unite together to try to push China to be democratic. It's very important for Japan's own benefit and other countries like Vietnam and the Philippines benefit, because China is rising. China will have a stronger military force, and even though they have a lower economic growth, it's still a huge economic force. So if such a big country, if there's no democracy in such a big country, from the experience of history, usually this country will go to the war or go to the expansion path that will be a threat for other countries. So if China has democracy, it's much, much better for other countries, including Japan. So Japan needs to do something for their own benefit. That's my thought.
Yes, I'm just wondering if there's anybody else? No, okay, Professor.
So Xi Jinping is fighting against corruption very strong. So, but some people say he is not really fighting against corruption. He is fighting against his opponent. He wants to be a dictator like Mao Zedong. It had nothing, not so much to do with corruption.
Yes, yes. But I totally agree with you. But I think anti-corruption is totally impossible for Communist Party, because that's the lifeline of a Communist Party and the driving force of economic growth. Yeah. Why China can get such high economic growth? Because corruption. Because local officials, they can get money from development. Then they have energy, they have passion to push the economic growth. So corruption is very important for Communist Party. And also for younger generation, can you imagine younger generation really believe in Marxism or communism? Why they still follow Communist Party? Just because they can get benefit from this party. That's also corruption. So CCP use corruption to draw a lot of young elite into their system. So corruption is very important for them. Corruption is the driving force for economic reform. It's also the very important basis for the maintenance, for the control, for the basis of the power. So I think it's totally impossible for CCP. If CCP really do something to anti-corruption, they should do political reform. But Xi Jinping used the way of political struggle, or the very old ways to do so-called anti-corruption. So I think there's no real anti-corruption, because it cannot happen. If there's real anti-corruption, the CCP will die. So they're born with corruption.
Busan, do you have anything to ask in Chinese?
Huh?
Because due to my question, I think he can prepare more, but maybe 我想知道对一个中国的政治。
Oh, you asked me the question about one policy.
Yes.
Well, I'm not pro-independence, of course, because I'm not Taiwanese. I'm also not pro-reunification, because I think right now is not the time for two sides to get together, because China is still under the totalitarianism regime, and Taiwan is already have democracy. It's unfair for Taiwan to back to mainland China. My position is I respect the decision of Taiwanese people. If there's something they can show their willingness, if they choose to be independent, I support. If they choose to if they choose to get back to the China together with China, I also respect. I don't have my own position. I just respect whatever they choose.
I think we have like time for one more question. Okay, somebody new, please.
Thank you for your lecture. And I'm correspondent of Huffington Post, Japan. In March this year, Mr. Donald Trump says riot about Tiananmen protest, and you criticize for him with Uwakasi. What do you think about Mr. Trump, and what do you think if he become president of the United States? What affect the world, especially Japan, China, and the United States?
You mean if Trump gets the power, don't scare me. Well, I of course dislike Trump's a lot of his policies. I'm not a citizen of America. Actually, I don't have a position to comment on Mr. Trump. But his idea about June 4th is obviously wrong. He has no idea about what happened in 1989. He's the person would like to say something he don't know. That's my impression. So I cannot imagine if he will be the president of the United States, how can I survive in the United States? I'm a little bit worried about it.
Okay, so then just one more comment about, for the anniversary, June 4th anniversary, what do you think are the lessons learned today, in today's environment, in the change of...
Okay. Yes. Well, I think here's a very important lesson Western countries and other people should learn from what happened in 1989. That is, the student movement happened in 1989, but before that, from 1978 to 1988, China is along a path from very dictator system to a kind of open system. It looks like that. And the economic growth is rapid. They achieve very good economic goal. But what happened in 1989, let us know one lesson is, if there's only economic growth, it's not necessary to lead to democracy. That's a lesson we get from 1989. The whole 1980s is very good. From the appearance, it's very good, but they still have 1989. So now China, again, have a kind of a beautiful face. They have rapid economic growth. They very open. Many younger people, they speak fluent English. Then they study abroad. But please do not believe that necessarily will lead China to democracy. That's wrong idea, because we have lesson from 1989.
Okay, thank you very much. It's 4 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock.
Thank you
for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Dr. Wang.
Thank you.